Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Pescatarian Minecraft. I decided to do something a little bit different today and show you a tutorial on how to build a maze, or how I build mazes. So you can do it several different ways, but I have a specific way I like to build mazes. So what I'm going to do is get some red carpet. You can use any color, but red's the most visible. And I also need to decide on what I'm going to make my maze out of. So I like to make them out of leaves. I've used the flowering azalea leaves before. I don't think I've ever made a maze out of pale oak leaves. Let me see what those look like. Yeah, that's cool. Alright, so coordinates. I am at 0, 0. I'm going to take a couple steps forward. So I'm making these 3 spaces apart. So that's going to be my entrance to the maze. So now I'm just going to make a line this way. I don't want to make this maze too big. And a line this way. Now I'm going to work on the grid. So let me just make sure. Using that to make sure I'm doing it 3 apart so I don't mess up. But I want to make sure that every 3 spaces I'm making a block. That should be fine. Alright, now I want to make sure this is even just because I'm OCD. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I need to make sure that I do 5 here too. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Wait a minute. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be the end. Now I can delete all those. Whoops. I'm not sure why. Oh yeah, make that 3. And I just like to make my spaces 3. You can make them. You can make them 1 block apart, which would be a little bit of a squeeze. You can make them 2. You can make them 6. You can do whatever you want. So this is it's 10. I'll make it a 10 by 10. Why not? So that's 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, and then the end. Whoops. I'm going to delete those. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So once I'm finished, this is going to be a 10 by 10. So now comes one of the boring parts. I'm going to, number one, make sure I do it evenly. I'm going to place another row of blocks, 3 spaces apart. It's actually easier to go down. I don't know why. I know this doesn't make a lot of sense, but I promise it'll all come together in the end. For some reason it looks bigger than 3 blocks apart, but it's not. Okay. Okay, so this is what this looks like from above. Oh, and I need to figure out where I'm going to end it. I'm going to do it straight across from the beginning. Alright, so here comes kind of the fun part. Whoops. So now you got to make a way through, I guess you can call it. So you can make it as complicated or as simple as you want. Whoops. Okay. Another thing, you don't want to make, I mean, you can have it like turn back on itself, but you don't want to make it too close, or it can make it a little bit, I mean, it becomes difficult to create. You'll see what I mean. Whoops. Since I'm almost done with the maze, I am going to have it double back on itself a little bit. Usually I don't like them to be that close apart, but I'm going to make an exception. Move out of the way, sheep. Okay, so I have made the way through the maze. Not too complicated. And I'm going to leave that carpet there, because something that some maze makers make the mistake of is they will build a maze without even really planning it, and there will be no solution, no way out. Now, if you want to build a maze where there's no way out, out to just annoy people, that's up to you. But I like my mazes to have a beginning and an end so people can actually solve them. So now, the next part is you start connecting your grid. Now this, it really just takes, you know, I guess intuition. Um, so my way might not be the only way out, but I do want to make sure that people kind of have to use a good bit of the maze. But I don't want them to be able to take shortcuts. So, for example, I don't want them to be able to go from here and then skip all the way down to here because they've skipped most of the maze. Or I don't want them to get to here and be able to skip to here because then, you know, that makes it a little bit too easy. So the way I make sure that that's not possible is, whoops. When I'm building the maze, I just make sure that they can't skip. So it takes a little bit of thought, a little bit of planning. You got to think, okay, when they come down here, you know, they might turn off the maze and go this way, and I don't want them to be able to get to the end, so I'm going to block it. So this way, now once they get to this part of the maze, they're gonna not just be able to skip over. But I also don't want to make the end of the maze too easy for the other person. Because right here, I've just followed a good bit of it. So you want to make sure there's plenty of twists and turns where people can get lost. Whoops. I'm also trying to make sure that when I build like different walls and stuff, I'm lining them up with the blocks. I just think it makes it look neater. Okay, so the way that I've got this designed is that anybody that comes past this point, I know that they won't be able to reach the maze. And I just need to make sure that I design all of it like that. Whoops. Alternatively, I know that if someone gets to this point, you know, they got a pretty easy access to the exit, but there's a couple of twists and turns that they can take. Not really. I mean, once they get to this point, it's going to be fairly easy, and it's a fairly easy maze to begin with. Now, I realize they could come down here and go this way and then end up back on the path, and I'm okay with that because it's not really, that's not a shortcut, that's more like a long cut. So I'm okay if they are able to skip and do that. And some of this, I'm not really building it with any, like, idea in mind. I just start connecting the blocks together, and it all kind of happens. So they can also make a cut through there, but that's not much of a long or a shortcut either. Not much of one. I could change and say, you know what, I want that to be the way they have to go. Okay, we'll do that. Alright, now they cannot get out going this way. They have to go that way if they want to find their way out. I do not want that to be a shortcut. I just want it to be a wrong turn. Almost done here. I'm going to put a barrier there. And they can cut through there if they want to. Right, this last part. Let me think a minute. Okay, and there's just this area left, so there's not much of a way they can, even if they like skip some, that's not much of a shortcut. So I'm gonna finish this up. Alright, now I need to get a bird's eye view. So yeah, there's more than one way through the maze. So they could go this way and then get back on the path. They could cut around right here and get back on the path. They could go around this way if they wanted to and get back on it. And with this, they could go this way and get back on. So yeah, that is the pathway. Now, the only thing left to do is to finish it up. So, 3 blocks high is pretty good, because when you're 3 blocks high, you can't see over the top. Yeah, see? It's not, like, terribly high, though. But it works. You can make it as high as you want to. Whoops. This is a very time-consuming part. And then we just keep going. So I've made a hedge maze before that was way, way bigger than this. So I don't know if I have it on PlayStation. I think I do. But yeah, I had actually first it was a maze, like I forgot what I built it out of, but it was meant to be like the maze in the labyrinth. And in order to actually get into the maze part, you had to go through powder snow. If I have time after this video, I might see if I've got it so you can check it out. But anyway, once you got through the maze part, there was a labyrinth. Like, not labyrinth. There was a hedge maze. And it was huge. So I used, in that world, I used copy paste a lot. So not only did I make a huge hedge maze, I copy pasted it and made it even bigger. So big that I put beds in it, so if anybody was playing it in survival mode, they could save their progress. Or sleep through the night. I don't remember if I put mobs in there or not. I might have put mob spawners. Possibly. Now there's other ways to build mazes. This is just the one, or the way that I found that is easier for me. The way I used to do them was I would just make a huge square, and then I would put carpet, just a random carpet through it, without really paying attention to like grid patterns and stuff, and that would end up causing issues. Like there would be openings that were only like 2 blocks wide, and then there would be openings that were 4 blocks wide, and it just I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't like that it was uneven. So making a grid pattern and then connecting the dots is a way to ensure that all your openings are going to be equal. There's another thing you can do too. I didn't do one in this one, but you can kind of call it a choke point. And it's where you have a maze with all these twists and turns, but there might be a point in the maze where it's like, let's say it's kind of divided into half, and you have to go through only one specific opening to get to the rest of it. So that means that this doesn't really have choke points specifically, it's too small, but let's say that this maze was twice this size. And let's say that I had this maze here and then extended it. Let's say that I copy pasted it, so copy paste. And I just left it the way it was. So all of a sudden this goes down to here. Okay, so I've got 2 of the same maze, they're connected to each other, and they only connect through this opening. Let's say I don't make any more openings. So this would be something called a choke point. So that means that, and I can make some more openings up here, so that means that they could wander around here all they wanted to, taking all these wrong ways, but unless they went through this specific opening, they wouldn't make it to the rest of the maze. What I might do is I would like make another opening, but then make sure that it was closed off, so if they came through that opening, they still wouldn't get to the rest of the maze. But yeah, that is what would be called a choke point. Oh, and when I copy pasted that last hedge maze, it messed it up a little bit. I didn't exactly copy paste it correctly, so if I'm able to show it to you, it's a little bit messed up, but it was just way too big for me to really have the willpower to do something to correct it. Oh, and the maze that's before the hedge maze, it actually, that one has a choke point. It has a choke point in the middle. So yeah, that means that you have to make your way to the middle, in the very center of it, before you can make your way out. It's also lit by candles, and I didn't find out until after I'd placed all these candles that candles really aren't the best light source. However, I used kind of color-coded the candles. So if you know the color code, it can kind of help you through the maze. It was like each layer had a different colored candle. I built one maze that was it was a super dark maze, so it was underground, and I believe I built the walls out of obsidian or coal, something really, really super dark, and the maze was so dark it actually like kind of hurt my eyes. It was really, really dreary. It was not a nice place. It's not on my PlayStation though, so I think I might have deleted that world, possibly. Set everything. Bird's eye view. Yes, it's everything. Alright. Before I delete this, I actually want to time myself going through here. I just like to see. Whoops. I gotta press start. Okay, 24 seconds. Really not that complicated. Now I gotta delete. carpet. Okay, boom. So that is how you make a maze. Now, let me see if I have the one. Do I not have it? It must have been on one of my other ones. Yeah, I'm making a maze on this. So, it must have been on my iPad that I had the labyrinth. That stinks. I can kind of show you what I did though. Let me get. Actually, so this is something I've been working on for quite a while. I just added the maze recently. Yeah, see, it's quite large. I haven't even finished it yet because I've still got the carpets and stuff. But I have mazes. So this is going to be a tower. I believe it got 50 floors in it. But each floor is going to be something challenging. I just want to show you how I use powder snow. Okay, yeah, so this is HE double hockey 6. This is, I don't want to really call this a maze. This one's really simple, and I can't make huge mazes inside this tower. So with this one, I have it so it's all pressure plates. Sometimes you can go back, sometimes you can't. With this one, the way I've got it designed is you have to go in here first, and you have to get a pressure plate. It's a snowball. You know what? Why don't I just get a... I think it's smooth quartz. Let me break one. Yep, looks like it. So once you get a weighted pressure plate, you have to go back to the beginning and then find your way to the end, which can be really tricky. Okay, so this is kind of the end. Yeah. And you can go back sometimes, but not all the time. Yeah, you can't go back through there. You'd have to go through some other doors. So this, I put it back here because it's really hard to notice. You know, you'll come through here and you might just think it's a dead end unless you look kind of close, but that's powder snow. That is not a quartz block. So you have to go through it, and then you place your pressure plate down. Say that 10 times fast. Place your pressure plate, pressure plate. Yeah. Then you gotta place your pressure plate down. Pressure plate down. This is an obby, which I'm sure is possible, but I'm not good at obbies, so I can't even do it. These are honey blocks, slime blocks. I'm trapped. Whoops. This is kind of the powder snow frustrating level. Some of it's solid, some of it isn't. And if it's not solid, you fall down to the floor below you. And that's soul sand, so it's kind of slow. With this one, yeah, you get a diamond axe, but it's filled with wood, and I'm not going to do that. Wrong box. Do I not have it? This is one I just made. Oh yeah. The water one, where you're trying not to drown. I think that's all I've got so far. Yeah, that's all I've got so far. But yeah, the whole point of that was just to show you how I use powder snow sometimes. What floor is this? 12. So yeah, I've got 11 floors so far. I made the tower before I came up with ideas for how for what I would put on each floor. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck. So the point of that is, you know, you wake up and it's really pretty, you know, all that foresty stuff, cherry trees, and you think, oh, it must be heaven, but then you find out this is like itchy up hockey stick sour. So when you get to the top, looks like I could put some powder snow here. Oh. This is a small maze with blazes. I just need to make sure that I put an extra layer here because you can jump over the iron fences now. So yeah, you look up, there's powder snow. You gotta go through it. This is meant to be an angel of death, but I guess it's more like a dragon of death. And it's not even. Alright, slabs. Slab. Where are the slabs? I think it's nether brick. Let's see. Yeah, it's nether brick. that even? Yeah, it's even. Alright, and then you think, okay, yeah, I've gone through all of that. Then, oh no, more powder snow. And just when you think you're about to die and you start to have issues with freezing, you fall down. Only to not die because you land on slime. And then more powder snow, and you're here where you have to pick a horse, and then you ride the horse all the way to the huge maze that I just made. It wasn't supposed to be that complicated, but it is. Now, the labyrinth that I wanted to show you that I didn't get to show you is it was all made of stone bricks, and once you went through it, as far as you could see in one direction and as far as you could see in the other direction, it was just solid wall on this side, and this was solid wall, but every so often there would be a little place where there was powder stone. And even flying, it took like, I think, because I used copy paste. So even flying, it took like 5 minutes to get all the way to one side. And if you just ran there and you were in survival mode, you wouldn't be able to get all the way because there was a pit and you wouldn't be able to, yeah. So, and I believe, so there were little openings with powder snow, but there would only be like a little cubby, so this would be all closed in with a torch, and that would be it, just a little box. And you had to go down, I think, 7, because they were all at the same interval to each other, the openings. And you had to go down 7 on the right and then through, and that's how you even got in the maze in the first place. So kind of like in the movie, you could go on and on and on in either direction and never get anywhere, but then you had to go through something that looked like a wall but was really just powder snow, and it would take you into the maze. I wanted it to make blocks that you could go through, like ghost blocks or something, but I wasn't able to do that. I don't think it's possible. I was on Pocket Edition, I believe. It was possible. I don't know if it's possible on PlayStation. I think it. I don't even know if it's still possible. I think it used to be possible on PC. But I don't know. But anyway, yep, this has been your tutorial on how to make a maze. So you can make them as big or as small as you want. One thing you need to watch out for, though, is so if I'm going to make a little thing, so see you go this way and it's like, oh no, it's the wrong way, and you gotta go back. If I'm building this and I, for some reason, put a wall right here, then this is just useless space. It's not used. If you're gonna make wrong ways and turns and stuff, you gotta make sure they can actually get into the wrong ways. So if I cut, like, let's say that I put a door here, here, and here, then that's a whole, like, all kinds of wrong ways that they could have gone that they're now not going to be able to possibly fall down onto because I accidentally shut it off. So, yeah, you got to kind of be cognizant of what you're doing when you're making these. You don't want to make a place where they can't even get to. Yeah, so they can get to all of that stuff. Yep, so, yeah, this is my bigger maze, in case you wanted to see it. It's a little bit more complicated, a little bit more difficult to make. And I did make it to where you could go more than one way, kind of. I mean, you could technically, like, cut through here. You can't make it shorter, though. You've got to kind of generally go in the areas that this red carpet's in. There's ways to skip small parts of it, or take long cuts, but yeah, for the most part, you've got to stick to the areas that it's in because of the way I designed it. So yeah, that's how you make a maze. It's one of the easiest ways. Oh, and keep your red carpet up while you're making it until you get to the very end, because as long as this is a continuous red carpet and you have not cut it off, then you know that that at least is one way to get to the end. So as long as you don't build a wall like over the carpet, then you know, okay, this is a maze that is possible. They will be able to find their way out if they just stick to it. Or if they just keep turning right, because apparently that's the way that, or keep turning left, because that's how you get out of a maze. If you want to stay, actually, I can show you that concept, because I still have plenty of time, I think. So if you ever go to a maze and you want to, or let's say that you get lost, or if you just want to like find your way. So I'm going to stick to my right. So no matter where it goes, I'm going to keep the maze to my right, even if that means I'm going to be like doubling back on where I have gone before. I'm just going to make sure that I'm touching on the right as I go. So this is what they mean when they say keep turning right. It's not like you're going to go to a turn and turn right. You want to keep the maze wall to your right hand side, because you're eventually going to either get to the end of the maze or you're going to get back to the beginning of the maze. It'll definitely take you back to the beginning. Depending on the design of the maze, it might not always take you to the end. And yep, I'm out. So yeah, that was the end, and that's where I started. So yeah, you just keep on turning right. I mean, it would work if you kept on turning left too. That would just take a little bit longer in this maze. Yeah, it would take a while, but yeah, as long as you keep turning one way and you keep like part of the maze to your left hand side, it's going to take you to the end or the beginning. Unless you're on something like this. Now if you're on this and you keep it to your right, you're just gonna go around in circles. Hopefully you'll realize that though. You'll be a little bit smarter and you won't keep on going to the same place over and over. Because see, yeah, it's just gonna take me in a circle. So yeah, real life advice. If you wanna complete a maze, just stick to one side, or if you get lost, just stick to one side and you'll eventually get out. Or if you're not a muggle, then you shoot red sparks into the air and the teachers will come and save you. Harry Potter joke. I like Harry Potter. Anyway, yeah. So this has been how to build a maze.